In today's episode of the No Comfort Zone, we're going to talk about stories, the clues that they leave, the adversity, the success, and everything in between. My name's Dan Brzezowski, and I'm the host of the No Comfort Zone. I will see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
If you or someone you know has had a story about adversity, some challenges that you've had to deal with, work out, and you found success on the other side of that, I would love an opportunity to talk with you about your story, the challenges that you face, the solutions that you came up with, and the success that you achieved. I really believe 100% that success leaves clues. And I believe that there's other people who are going through similar problems or situations that you might have just experienced and became victorious over. And I think they need to hear about what you have to say. Everyone's got a story. I would love to hear about your story. Go to dan@thenocomfortzone.com. Type in a little bit about what's going on. Email me that information. We'll connect. I might even have you on the show if you're interested. Just let me know. I want to be on your show and tell your story, and we'll go from there. You know, I really do believe that stories tell a lot, and I tell a lot of stories, especially if you work with me. You know that. I tell a lot of stories. Try not to make them long-winded, as my wife says, but at the end of it, I believe there's a solution. There's a way that I want you to leave after you hear that story. One of my absolute favorite stories personally that I've gone through is being told at various points in my life that I was too stupid to do things. Too stupid to be in the Marines. Literally, they told me that, and there was a mistake, but they did tell me that. Too stupid to become a car salesman. Now, come on. Let's think about that for a minute. Car salesman, one of the hardest jobs you could actually ever have to do, or one of the easiest, highest paying jobs if you know how to do it right. But to go through the process to learn how to do it the right way, for me, was extremely difficult, especially to the point of showing up the way that I did and going through that interview process. It was extremely difficult. And during the interview process, I was told I was too stupid to sell cars. I was told I was too fucking stupid to sell cars, if you want to put it the right way. But because of what I said and how I said it, I was able to get the job. And 30 years later, here I am. I'm doing a podcast about success and adversity and everything in between. But the reason I found all of this success and adversity is because of my choice to be in the automobile industry. Professionally, I have a great track record. I have been a solid employee for 30 years. I had some ups and downs. Been fired twice, I think. Yeah, I've been fired twice by my own doing, by my own fault, in a good way. And that being said, I made the choices. But where I'm going with this is that I have so many stories from traveling to different parts of the country, experiencing different levels of promotions and demotions throughout my career. And one thing is true is that my ability to do anything that I've done is because somebody told me I was too stupid to do it. That was my fueling fire for me to be successful, which wasn't too good. Let me explain why. If somebody tells you or challenges you, if you have a chip on your shoulder because of something that happened to you in the past, and your job is to prove them wrong, as I've done many of podcasts on this station, one of my podcasts is actually called Prove Them Wrong, and it's one of the most listened to podcasts. I forgot how many thousands of people listen to it, but it's one of the most listened to ones is Prove Them Wrong. And I'm going to tell you, because we've got to know each other over the past few years, that might not have been right, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you my reason why. I'm not recanting. I'm just saying there's another way to go about doing it. If your whole career, your motivation is to prove everybody wrong or to knock that chip off your shoulder or to get back at someone, you're going to have to outwork. You're going to have to outthink, outshine. You're going to have to outdo everything. And that is completely a way of life. And for some people, they want to call that grinding it out. You know, it's been said, if you want to become a millionaire, what do you have to do is you have to work half days, the millionaire was asked. You just have to decide which half, the first half or the second half. And that's what I found. I found out over 30 years is that I've worked long and I've worked very hard to get to certain places in my life because my motivation was different. My motivation was to prove that guy in the beginning that I'm not too stupid to do this, that I can be successful. Quickly into that journey, that same manager, when I wrote down that I wanted to make $100,000 a year selling cars, and this was back in the 90s, he told me then, that's not a realistic goal. I'm too new. He was fired 3 months later. As a matter of fact, everybody was cleaned out. I was the only one left. Could you imagine that, coming to work and everybody in your organization is gone except for the high-level people and they put new people in? That was a good thing. I was able to succeed after that. I had the right people around me. I had the right opportunities show up. Sound familiar? When you do the right thing, the next right thing happens. But one thing that everyone needs to know, my motivation was to prove everyone wrong back then. That one person that hired me, you made the right decision, but I'm gonna mess with everyone else's head because I'm gonna outdo everybody. So I worked really long and really hard. I studied, I reached for information, I grasped anything I could on the subject of selling to a point where I would know the material, but it wasn't genuine because it wasn't the right motivation. I was doing it to become number one, to beat everyone. I wasn't doing it to become number one because it was the right thing to do. Do you see the difference? There's an easier way to go about getting success. And through the automobile industry and through my ups, my downs, and my successes and failures, I've learned that. That's where the wisdom comes in. If you start off with the right motivation and the right mindset to serve others, to be the best version of yourself, but that's categories in every one of your life, in every point of your life, from relationships to money, from your relationships with money, and also your relationships with other people, your coworkers. I was disconnected from a lot of people, even though I genuinely wanted to be liked by a lot of people. I had a vendetta against everybody that I worked with. And that went on from place to place. I wouldn't say when I worked in Hawaii that happened because I met some genuinely great people over there. I had fun. I really learned the business. But I was surrounded by the right people. There's a lot of great people that I was able to work with, true professionals, true high-level professionals. And that really got me involved in professional sales training and following that path. And it's funny because of all the ups, the downs, and the stories, and going from Virginia and going through the first divorce and then going to Hawaii to getting married again and traveling and going through that journey where I took a bunch of time off, spent a ton of money, got to Hawaii, really met some great people, got married, moved back to Illinois, and then ended up starting a family and creating the success, becoming wildly addicted to alcohol and drugs, and this horrible thing of the person I wanted to be and being the right family man to being a person who lost everything. And when I say everything, losing absolutely everything and reinventing myself, the good version of me, the bad version of me, and everything in between, and coming to a point where I realized just no more. I'm going to clean up my act in every way possible. I'm going to give up everything that's a vice to me. Cigarettes, drinking, drugs, relationships, all the stuff. I still was good at what I did because I spent so much time at it. I was still a good employee. I was still good to my customers. My customers still enjoyed me, but they saw the pain that I was going through. And it wasn't a fun time in my life. It was actually a very dark time in my life. But it's funny, it's through that story of going through having the ambition and this desire to beat everyone that I really created kind of a monster. And I realize now, I'm actually at this point now where looking back is, wow, if I just had the right motivation or mindset back then to serve others and be the best version of myself in all areas of my life, because that's what I'm experiencing now. And that's what I train people on. Life is about making the right decision, making the right choice, taking the right action. Life's all about, and I say this, I think every single day I say this, what do you do when no one's watching? That's what matters most. That's what matters most to the people around you. In the training I recently did, I said, hey, listen, if you were to, let's say the spouse, you go to work and you were able to document everything you did and said and thought throughout the day, and you documented it in a pen, permanent ink, you couldn't erase it. And at the end of a week, you were to turn in that document, that book, to your significant other, to your spouse. Would they be proud of you? What if you were to give that same book, you were to write down all the lessons that you learned, all the thoughts, the actions, the outcomes, and everything that you had, and you couldn't erase that either. You had to write it in pen, and you did that for a whole month. And then you gave that book to your child and you said, this is exactly how I want you to live your life. Would you be willing to give that book to your child and say, this is how I want you to live? That wasn't me for the longest time period. Now it is. Thoughts, feelings, actions, outcomes, results, everything that I do now, based on those stories that I've had before. Yeah, I was distracted. My motivations weren't in the right place. I had a vengeance. I had a vendetta. Heaven forbids if you were around me after my second divorce, I was toxic. I had toxic people around me. And now those same people, I don't know where most of them are at. No, none of them were true friends. They were fast friends at the time. But I'll tell you this. There's some people right now that are coming away from that. This is 10, 15 years ago, that are trying to get back on their feet now. And it's funny, these stories that were 10 years, 20 years in the making, just because you make a decision, folks, that you want your life to change, I'm here to tell you this. The no comfort zone, yeah, it's about the alarm clock and not hitting the snooze button. It is about eating the donut. It is about working out. It is about pushing yourself. It's about taking that cold shower. It's about going to bed at a reasonable time, getting rid of the chaos. But one thing I want you to understand and I want you to walk away from, you can make all the minor decisions you want in the world on how to do the right thing in the moment. But if for 20 years you've been living a certain lifestyle and you have a story, I want to let you know something, that story that you currently have, just because you made a decision to change and you took an action, a small action to change in that moment, doesn't mean your life's going to forever change and you're good to go. I was told this and it was true for me, and maybe it's true for you or it doesn't have to be true. I don't know, but I'm telling you from wisdom that if you're going to take a journey and you're going to go 10 years in that journey, in order for you to get back to zero, it's going to take you 10 years to get back. You'll have a bunch of stories to tell. You might even create a podcast. You might even help people deal with adversity and find success and help them cope differently than they're currently coping. But man, you're going to have some magnificent stories, I'll tell you that. A lot of pain and a lot of suffering, a lot of adversity, a lot of lack of action, a lot of disconnection, a lot of distraction, a lot of immediate gratification, long-term sorrow. But when you keep doing the right thing long enough and you keep making the right decision and you keep trying and you realize when you make the right decision, you take the right action, the only thing that can happen is the next right outcome. You might not agree with it. You might get to that point where something happens in your life and you might lose something, a relationship, an account, a job. You might lose something, but there's good in that. You might not know what it is right then and there, but there's something that comes from that. You have to stay positive. You have to be positive because you are positive, and you have to realize that in these adverse moments, it's a challenge. That's all it is. It's a challenge for you to cope and do the right next thing. And when you keep adding these up long enough, after years, you can tell a different story. You can help another person. You can't forget the reason why you're here is that's to help other people. And so if you do have a story, if you have a story of how you dealt with adversity, whether it's a 10-year story, a 2-week story, whatever it is for you, and if you think other people need to hear your story, this is a chance for you to get on the microphone, have an interview with me. We'll walk through it. Email me, Dan at the No Comfort Zone, if you want to be on the show or if you want me to publish your story and talk about it. Your story might be able to help somebody else that's going through a really bad time, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. You're either getting ready to head into adversity, you're in the middle of adversity right now, or you just got out of it. And everywhere along the way, if you want to ease the pain and the suffering, share that with somebody else. Help them with their solution, because that's what we're all here for in the end. My journey, I'm not as successful as I ever thought I would be. I'm more successful than I thought I would be. I'm humbled by the experience that I went through. Somebody said to me recently, I know they don't listen to this podcast all the time, but they said recently is, Dan, you should really talk about the adversity. You mention adversity, but you don't talk about it too much. I talk about it quite a bit, so I hope you listen to more episodes. But if this is the first time that you're listening, all the adversity that I've had in my life, I've created myself. From not feeling like I was accepted, from not feeling like I belonged. Even when I had my own family, I still had this burning desire in me that I didn't feel like I fit in. So even with children, even with a spouse, even with people around me that loved me, I still never felt like I fit in. And because I felt like I didn't fit in, I made poor choices for immediate gratification to feel better. And then I lost track. And after losing track for a while, addictions, chaos at work, working too much, not paying attention to income, not paying attention to expenses, not paying attention to my spouse, children, everything that went along with it. And I lost everything. I lost everything multiple times. Used to have dreams when I would wake up when I was all alone. And actually at one point I was homeless. I would wake up and there was nobody there. I still thought they were in my life. And then I wake up and I realize after, like, let's say 30 seconds that, oh wait, I am all alone. Very sad place. So I didn't want to be in this place anymore. So I took the negative energy and I made decisions, planned things out, and overconsumed intentionally. Massive amount of pills. That should have got me, but it didn't based on the combination. And thankfully I'm still here, but I did go into a coma. And after that coma, I didn't have the ability to walk or talk. And here I was at one point in my life, a motivational speaker, doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden, reality hit. I stopped paying attention to my problems and adversity. I stopped caring. I got way too comfortable with putting things off. Then when it all hit me at once, I couldn't deal with it. So the coma, the addiction, being broke, homeless, all of these things happened all at once. And for sure, I didn't want to stick around. But as luck would have it, I had to face these realities. Then when I faced them and I got back on my feet again, just for a short time period, I liked being around. I thought things were okay. I was in a better place. But heaven forbid, success wasn't meant for me. Success is not, I'm going to be average and I'm going to be okay with that. I'm going to live a boring life instead of the rock star lifestyle that I was living before. The chaos, the people that I knew, the parties I would go to, the people I would hang out, the places I've been. All of it was just, it was a flash in the pan. There was nothing fulfilling about it. I decided I'm just going to be average. And instead of being in a coma for a week, I think I was in a coma for about 10 years. Till one day I woke up and I realized that this isn't for me. I can't be average anymore. I am scared shitless because I'm fat. I'm scared shitless because I'm unhealthy. I'm scared because I feel nothing in my life other than the affection of my wife and the desire to be with my children. I had no ambition. I got to a point where I said to myself, this is it. I got to do something right now. After a doctor's visit, I made a decision, and I can tell you more in another podcast, exactly what I did to get out of average. I changed everything about me, about my ambitions, and about my activities, my schedule, my attitude towards work, towards my relationship, towards my kids, towards money, towards everything. I changed everything because I was worried I wasn't going to make it past this one, and I've been through a lot in my life. This one, I wasn't going to take my own life. This one was going to kill me from boredom, from being average, from being stuck in a place where I have so many desires and ambitions, and I'm never going to achieve them because I'm not willing to risk anything more because I was weak. Going through a no comfort zone, I wasn't weak anymore. By my own intention, I put myself through adverse situations. I knew the results I was looking for, and I knew the reasons why. I knew what action I had to take, and I knew what was important right now. That's actually step 2 of the No Comfort Zone Blueprint. When I got that figured out, I went for the appropriate knowledge that I needed on money. I started re-looking at my attitude and trying to get it better and better each day. It started with gratitude. I worked on the necessary skills, leadership, and communication that were really important to me at the time. I learned how to effectively write goals, and I started to take habits to a whole new level. Literally changing my neurological way I process things, getting the right people in my life to learn how to change these habits and put them into behaviors so that I was certain of the outcomes that these habits would get me. I worked a lot with my subconscious mind. I know it sounds a little crazy on this, but that's what I did. I spent a lot of time in this space. And then I constantly focused on my energy, my excitement, my enthusiasm, and engagement, and always tried to find a solution. No matter what it was, there was something positive, and I had to find the solution in that area. And I realized that if it has to be, it's up to me. I realized that people were counting on me to solve problems. So I looked for problems to solve. I focused on solutions. And next thing you know, one thing led to another. The right people started showing up in my life. I started to achieve business goals that were, quite frankly, unheard of. I started to have people in my life that I only dreamed of connecting with show up in my life. And it was a wonderful time because it was very fulfilling. And this happened, folks. This No Comfort Zone time period, it happened in 90 days. I lost 30 pounds like it was nothing. Just changed everything about myself, and I became unrecognizable to myself. Landed my dream job. Met some more phenomenal people. And now the story that I have is completely different. I feel a certain way because I do things in a certain way on a daily basis. And it's all part from this no comfort zone. It's all from that first person telling me in my life, you're too stupid to do something, and me fighting my way back. Then realizing along the way that I maybe took it to the extreme. By taking it to the extreme, I kind of overdid it. I kind of pushed myself a little bit too much, got into the chaos and drama in the world. I became disconnected and distracted from being my father's son, to realizing that I lost everything. How am I going to come back from this? Maybe they were right. To working every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions, on myself. Finding the right people to help me get from point A to point B. Coming up with my own solutions, the No Comfort Zone Blueprint. And finding a few people that I could help along the way, because if you want to master anything, start teaching it to somebody else. Then you're going to master it. I got to a point in my life where I actually found peace and fulfillment, forgiveness, understanding, compassion, discipline, perseverance, dedication, honor. These things started to show up in my life when I kept doing the things that I was supposed to do, especially when no one was watching. And when I did something good for somebody else and when I realized it was a benefit, I kept quiet. I didn't get caught. And I just moved on. And that's what I want you to do. That's part of the No Comfort Zone. If you know somebody who's got a story out there, if you just know that their story is inspiring and can help motivate other people, can help create desire in somebody else to do the right thing, if you know somebody that's struggling right now, suggest this podcast to them. But if you've got a story that you know, or you know somebody that actually had success in their life and they're looking to go to the next level and you want to tell this story to the world, this is a good platform to do it on. I can connect you with people through this podcast. Hit me up at Dan@the-No-Comfort-Zone. And remember, your story matters. You matter. You are worthy. You are worthwhile. Now take that story and let's share it with millions. Today's the day for you to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.